It is Trial Tuesday once again. The kids headed back to school this week, which can be both a happy and stressful time for parents. Attorney David Aylor, a man who's always at the head of the class, joins us right now to discuss some legal scenarios involving your child. Counselor, thanks so much for being here. We do appreciate it. I think at the forefront of everybody's list right now is the issue of bullying in schools. And can a school or a school district or a town or even a private school, for that matter, be held accountable for the actions of other students?
I think they can, and they can in the situations that they have notice of it. If it's something that's being reported to the school, to the teachers, to the superiors, and then being ignored at that point and then continuing, maybe leading on to something else, you definitely can see some liability there.
Absolutely. How about on the social media sphere, classmates at two different or two similar schools, perhaps not at the school, not physically in the building, but online, they share that relationship as going to the same school. Can a school be held accountable for that if there's cyberbullying going on?
That's going to be a little bit more difficult. You are seeing some cases where that comes out of, but if they're outside the school grounds, they're not using the computers at the school, they're using their phones at the school, I think that's going to fall more back on the parents or whoever's the guardians of the children are, as opposed to the school. Now, the school does sometimes get involved in things outside of campus, that somehow can affect the school.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, if you're at home, they're on Facebook, then it's their parents' job, not the teachers and principals' jobs, to really look into that.
It seems that there's a lot of emotional bullying going on. Let's talk about the case of perhaps physical bullying. Let's say this thing turns physical, a dispute between two kids. Can a school or district, for that matter, be held liable for actions of that, injury sustained?
You have to be very careful in those situations, particularly because that is when you really see some serious cases that'll come where things have started to boil up and maybe a teacher mishandles something or doesn't properly report it. But all schools have very strict policies on how things should be done and what they should personally do at the first sign of a fight or anything else. The problem comes in when that gets ignored.
Absolutely. Let's talk about another issue, and that, of course, is liability. Let's say if a student is experimenting with drugs or brings a weapon onto campus, where exactly does it fall in there, and when can the school step in, call the police, and then have that student searched?
Well, when it comes to anything that's illegal, such as illegal narcotics or, of course, weapons in schools, then the police are going to be involved directly. Sometimes they're going to be involved because they're already going to be on campus. Most schools actually have police officers there. If not, they will bring in law enforcement, and that student will face criminal charges just like any other citizen. Of course, it'll be in the juvenile court setting most of the time.
We've heard some rumors, perhaps sometimes, that police get a tip and then they come through and do a random search of a whole bunch of lockers. Right. Is that legal? Is that something that happens here in Low Country?
It is, because when you go into, at least within the public institutions, they have a right to come search your locker. They can search your car. So when you hear about drug dogs and things going through the school parking lots and then people's cars getting checked, a lot of times people will call my office and have, constitutional concerns about that. But when you're on the public school ground and you're in that, you're opening yourself up to that. So you're not going to have those same protections. When it comes to private school or after school care, that could be a little bit different.
So even if your car is parked in the parking lot and you have some kind of illegal substance or weapon in that, police, as well as the school and the town, have the right to search your vehicle.
Absolutely, and they often do, and that's often when you find things. Sometimes people will inadvertently have a shotgun that's their relatives or fathers or whatnot from hunting or different things like that.
Yeah.
Other times there may be cigarettes and things like that, or alcohol that's in the car that truly could be one of their parents or another adult, older brother or sister. However, once you bring it on the school grounds, it becomes yours.
Absolutely. So is there any kind of wiggle room with that when you get into the disciplinary and into the judicial system? Do people say, my parent is going to come forward and testify that this was mine and they left it in this car?
Well, you hear that a lot. Actually, you hear that on all levels where basically constructive
Sure.
possession, it's somewhere in the vehicle. It's not on their person. Unfortunately, technically, it's still going to be yours it's liable for. Now, maybe a judge or a prosecutor can look at it a little bit different if they feel like there's enough information leading to that. But generally, everyone should know if you're driving a vehicle, whenever it's to the mall or to a school, you're responsible for whatever's in that car.
Absolutely. Let's say it does get to that point and then you do go through a judicial system and a hearing. Can you, I suppose, ask the judge not only for leniency there, but make sure that, this thing doesn't happen again? Can you actually be challenged, and can that be overturned, or are you at least going to face a suspension?
You're going to have two sides. You've got the school side, and then you're going to have the criminal side. A lot of times people think if they're getting handled in school, why do they have to have criminal charges?
Right.
That's just not the way that it works anymore. So the school's going to make their decision regardless of what the court does. From the court side of it, if you're not comfortable with what they're recommending, then you can actually have a trial. Although that trial is not in front of a jury, it's just in front of a judge, and so the judge will get to hear whatever those explanations are and determine if you're responsible or
A
not.
lot of these schools now have that zero tolerance policy in effect, so basically you're still going to get some kind of disciplinary measure.
Yeah, exactly. I've had several cases where we were able to resolve the criminal side of them. However, they still face some severe penalties within the school.
All right, a lot of complicated issues. Best not leave all that stuff at home and know exactly what's in your car and on school property at all times. Attorney David Aylor, thanks so much for your time, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Do appreciate it as always, and we hope everyone has a safe and successful school year. We got more Low Country Live coming up after the break.
Trial Tuesday, brought to you by attorney David Aylor.
Well, ready, set, tailgate.